I do want to answer the who has more to lose with the fans between Dylan and Shedeur before you give off your big theory about this weekend and what's at stake potentially this weekend for the Browns. I don't know how Dylan has anything at stake with the fans. Mainly because even though he looked relatively good in that last game, if he stinks up the joint, it's not going to change anything with the relationship that he has with the Browns.
Nope.
Like, Shedeur's the only one that's really playing for something in my estimation, because if he doesn't look good, then all of a sudden people are like, oh, so he's inconsistent. He can't do it. He can't even do it against third and fourth stringers. The Browns were right the entire time, which I think is ridiculous, but it's going to be the take.
Right.
And if he's great, then guess what? Congratulations. You
100%.
still get to be third on the depth chart or fourth in the depth chart, whatever you are.
Nothing moves.
Nothing moves.
And look, I don't think anything that's going to happen tomorrow moves the needle as far as that depth chart goes. I think the depth chart is the depth chart. It's Joe 1, Pickett 2, Dylan 3, Shedeur 4, and Tyler Huntley 5. Like that is the depth chart. I feel like that they are dug in on that, Jonathan.
Yeah.
As far as that's how they see it. And Shedeur is probably going to be on mop-up duty as the third quarterback, which means he's probably going to play end of third quarter to the fourth quarter there, which, as we know, when you're playing in the preseason finale in the fourth quarter, that tends not to say great things about you, right? And what your future prospects for that upcoming season are.
Yeah.
So that they're not going to cut him, right? I mean, they're just not going to do that. But I feel like there's nothing that can move them off their thought process right now. The preseason opener in Charlotte did nothing to move the needle in Shedeur's favor. Last week in Philadelphia, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur threw 2 touchdowns. Dylan Gabriel turned the ball over twice. Didn't move the needle.
Should have moved the needle. Didn't move the needle.
Right. That's the point. It should have moved the needle.
Yeah, and that's why I think tomorrow nothing really is going to change from that perspective. Now, I'll watch, you'll watch, and not just because it's our job. It's very interesting. I want to see what both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur look like. In fact, I'm more interested in the second half of the game than I am the first half of the game. But I don't know that too much is going to actually change from the Browns' perspective on this. But it might end up changing things league-wide.
Yeah.
And if Shedeur continues to look as great as he did week 1, and the hard part about this, if he gets a quarter and a half, it's such a tiny amount of football to then just go off and be awesome. It's just not enough. It's not enough length there. If he has an opening series like he did against Carolina, the cool thing about that was that he was able to turn around and he had enough time to then recover from that so people didn't just write it off. We don't have as much time in this game, which leads you to your big theory.
So I have 2 avenues that it would not shock me. It would shock Browns fans.
Okay.
It would probably shock you. It'd probably shock some folks that work here at this radio station. Wouldn't shock me, though. One of those is that they trade Kenny Pickett. That's not the shocking part, right?
You didn't blow my socks off there.
I know. I feel that they're going to keep 4 quarterbacks.
Okay. And Snoop has been very good around the building, et cetera.
And based on what Kevin Stefanski said last week, now he tried to walk that back a little bit this week. He tried to walk those comments back a little bit. But when he said, these are going to be tough decisions and you can't always keep everyone, right?
And then he tried making it like, I was talking about the 90.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm convinced they're going to find a way to keep 4 quarterbacks. My first theory is, you trade Kenny Pickett, you keep Joe, you keep the 2 rookies on the active roster, you waive Tyler Huntley, you bring him back on the practice squad. Okay? That's theory number 1.
Yeah.
Now comes the bombshell.
Okay.
You trade Shedeur Sanders. You clearly are not sold on him right now. You're not sold on the progress that he's making, even though you're publicly saying, hey, we're happy with where he's at.
I'm going to be livid if it goes down, by the way.
But let me just explain my thought process.
Let's get through it.
And this is and I want to be very clear, this is just my thought process here.
All right.
Okay? I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it wouldn't shock me if it did.
Okay.
He's an asset. He's very popular. He doesn't necessarily, I think, speak their language per se, but they do like him. He's a great kid. I mean, just listen to that press conference yesterday.
He's fantastic.
Wonderful kid.
Yeah.
All this nonsense the people running their mouths about him and his character, this, that, and the other, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. He's a wonderful kid. Okay?
Yeah.
Does his game on the field need some refinement? Sure. A lot of players' games need some refinement, especially rookies and quarterbacks, okay? But my thing is, if they don't seem like they're in a hurry to play him this year, okay?
Yeah,
which goes counterintuitive to what needs to happen this year.
Right, you got to play these guys.
Right.
It was Jimmy Haslam's declaration himself, was you got to play the rookie quarterbacks. And he's like, Stefanski knows you got to play the rookie quarterbacks. All right, so in this theory of yours, are you suggesting that we get to a spot where they can't play him this year because they're going to go Flacco into Dylan Gabriel, so they realize he's not going to get an opportunity, and then they also realize they're likely drafting a quarterback in the 2026 draft?
Yep.
And so basically the runway is just empty and you're out of room when it comes to Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, and here's the thing, too. How can you make an honest-to-goodness evaluation about a kid, whether it's Dylan Gabriel, whether it's Shedeur Sanders or another rookie, right? How can you make a true evaluation on a 4, 5, 6 game window? And say,
no, it's really hard,
right? I mean,
it's really hard. Even for quarterbacks we think the world of in their rookie season, we've seen a lot of them struggle for 4, 5, 6 games. Nonetheless, the whole season. I mean, Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions his first season.
I was just about to mention Peyton. It took him a couple years to get it going. Took Drew Brees to change the scenery from the Chargers to the Saints before it clicked for him.
And that was years into his career.
And he was short.
Now, we do expect more out of quarterbacks earlier than we ever have, right? You know, C.J. Stroud year 1 comes in, is awesome. Jaden Daniels year 1 comes in and is awesome. We expect it earlier than we ever have.
Lamar Jackson took off early.
Right? Won an MVP in year 2.
Josh Allen, it took him a couple years
year
up at Buffalo.
Year 3 is when he popped.
Right.
First 2 years he struggled at a miserable completion percentage. Year 3 he popped.
So it does take time for some of these guys, but I just, the thought popped into my head. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen or it should happen.
What's this look like? What kind of trade does this look like? Is this like a third rounder?
I got to think that's, probably a third or a 4.
I've been mentioning the Rams for a couple weeks. I think that one has made sense anytime I've thought about it, because Matthew Stafford, we don't even know if he's going to be able to play week 1. I guess he had a good step forward in the past couple days, but if he's a question mark at any given point, Jimmy G is made of glass.
Right.
You can't enter a season with Jimmy Garoppolo as your backup quarterback and expect to win a decent amount of games.
But here's the thing: they
would also be in the quarterback draft for next year as well. The Rams would be, so maybe that does take them out. But we're talking about teams like that.
They didn't want to give Shedeur a lot of work in training camp. All Shedeur's work has to come before practice or in they call it the Hungry Dogs opportunity period, or whatever.
I just don't know. I don't know that you can do this to this fan base right now, though. This would be such a damaging thing. The only rallying cry it feels like that this fan base has had in any sort of stretch. The only reason why they're interesting this year is because of Shedeur.
Fourth string quarterback.
I mean, we sign all these people that have problems off the field, and they completely sucked last year. It would be the most demoralizing thing in the world to take the one part of this team right now that is interesting and say, you're gone for a third-round pick. Like Shedeur epitomizes everything you want in a football player. I can't find a media person to say something bad about the guy. Like he's all class. He's looked fantastic on the field. I can't find anybody that says anything demeaning or in any sort of bad way about him in any of their interactions. And this is the guy you want to trade? Well, it'd be such a misstep by the Browns in such a massive way. I would be livid if they went through and did this. And yes, you're right. I would be shocked if it happened. You said you're not shocked. I would be shocked if it happened.
No, I wouldn't be shocked because
You laid out a great case. You laid out a great case, but I can't live in a world where they look at a quarterback when you need quarterbacks and look at a quarterback like Shedeur and say we throw him away like he's days-old Chinese food.
Listen, I'm at an age where I just see things the way they are and I call them the way they are. And I'm just objectively looking at the situation. They didn't want to give him reps in camp because they didn't feel he was ready for that. Okay. I'm looking at the runway that you have this season. You're going to give Joe Flacco, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, whatever, to show he can win. And if he can't, then you're going to pivot and make a change. If you keep Kenny Pickett, that you're going to play him next because you want to see if there's a little something there.
Yeah. And
then by the time you get to end of November, early December, you're going to want to put Dylan Gabriel on the field to see if there's something there. Then what's left for Shedeur Sanders? The preseason, or I should say the regular season finale in Cincinnati, is that the game you're going to, and you're going to make?
That's just scraps.
Well, I know. And then you're going to make a blanket determination as to whether or not this guy can play at this level, and that's going to determine whether or not you need to trade up for the first overall pick, or you need to use one of those first-round picks on a quarterback. I see
what you're saying.
The timeline here is,
I don't love it, but I see what you're saying.
It's pretty. Well, I don't love it either.
And listen, if I was trying to come back with any sort of actual retort that has any sort of juice to it, and I'm gonna poke a hole in this right away. It would be the idea like, oh, you invested so much in them, and it's like no. In most cases, that'd be true. With the Browns, it's just not true.
They haven't invested.
They haven't invested anything into him. They've given him all they've given him is slop. He's made the most of it,
right?
But all they've given him is slop. They didn't give him first team reps.
They drafted him on a whim, Jonathan. They had no intention of drafting Shedeur Sanders.
You know this team because you've been around this team for so long, Daryl, and this organization right now. You know they would love to be like, we're the team that took a 5th round pick and turned him into a 3rd round pick.
100%.
That's like their Super Bowl for some reason because they just think so backwards sometimes.
Well, look what they did with Amari Cooper. Not only did they take a 5th to a 3rd, they also got 2,000-yard seasons out of Amari.
Your theory that you have, and listen, I'd love to poke holes in it because I want to see Shedeur here until basically the end of time, like until his arm falls off. I'd love to see Shedeur be the quarterback, and that's more than just rooting for Shedeur. That's also the idea that if Shedeur's great, then you have 2 first-round picks next year, and you can spend that on skill position players, and everything's awesome.
You've been riding the Shedeur coattails since February. You're, if nothing but consistent, and I respect and admire that about you.
January 4th was the day that we first put that out there, by the way.
Day.
That we publicly backed Shedeur in the way that we did, and we've moved forward. We had the couple days that actually you were with me in March, I believe it was, where you then became a Shedeur fan yourself.
I don't know if I became a shill like you, but I like the kid, especially now that he's here, and I've gotten to observe him on and off the field. I genuinely like the kid. I think that he's gotten a bad rap in our culture that we have, our social media culture today. I always love when folks that are never around have these hot takes and these opinions on things, and they have things to say about players without ever meeting them, without ever being around them, right? Just because they open a social media app and they see what's being said, so that has shaped their worldview on that particular player. And I think a lot of that's happened with Shedeur. He is a polarizing figure, but I think he's a great kid. I've not heard one bad word about him. He was at high school football game last night.
Yep.
He had a funny moment in his press conference yesterday where an idea popped into his head, and then he realized I probably shouldn't be talking about this because I didn't clear it with anyone. I didn't talk to anyone about it or anything like that. He was talking about getting some high school football tickets or getting some high school kids some football tickets for tomorrow's game and whatnot. I mean, he just seems like he's a genuine young guy who happened to grow up in a household of celebrity with his father, which could not have been easy considering, the legend that his father was. I grew up watching his dad play baseball and football. But I just think that these narratives that have been put out there about him that have tried to shape people's view of him have just been so grossly unfair, and it's been nothing that I have observed or experienced with this guy at all, one iota. So, I'm not rooting for the Browns to trade him, not by any stretch of the imagination, and I actually don't have a problem with them slow rolling this thing with him because, hey, let's put this kid in a position to be successful. Let's not rush it. Let's not put him in a bad spot, but also at the same time, runway's real tight.
Well, and so that's what I wanted you to highlight here because, and this is the part that I find really interesting. For myself, I'm convinced Shedeur will play at some point this season, and then hopefully it can be off to the races.
But it's going to be scraps.
Well, that's what I'm worried about, and that's the problem when you start Joe Flacco, unless you have an immediate eject button, essentially. How do you have enough time to play Flacco, to play Gabriel, and to play Shedeur and give him enough opportunities? Because it seems like it's an all but foregone conclusion that Dylan Gabriel is going to be second off the bench, is going to be the second one and the one with the opportunity. And so what is Shedeur getting? At best, 4 or 5 games?
And then I would ask, well, what was the point of bringing in Kenny Pickett if Dylan Gabriel is going to be second up?
Well, so I wonder if Kenny Pickett is just in case Joe Flacco in week 1 or week 2 gets injured, and they're just like, it's too early in the season to throw Dylan out there and to throw the rookies out there. So he's almost insurance for the idea that Joe Flacco, if he gets injured, you have a veteran, you have somebody else that has done it, and so you're not throwing the rookies out there too early. That's what I've wondered. It's part of me that makes sense to me, knowing how they operate, knowing how they think.
They're all great guys in the quarterback room, so I'm nobody's catching strays
we have too many quarterbacks. There's no other way to cut it.
It's the island of misfit toys. All right, let's be honest about it, right? You got a 40-year-old who's on the 18th green, ready to putt out for his career. You got a guy that's a reclamation project who played for one of, if not the worst offensive coordinator in history, but some way, somehow, despite playing some of the most god-awful, take your eyeballs out with a spoon type of football in Pittsburgh, found ways to win games late.
I'll allow you being mean to Matt Canada. I'll allow it.
I like that.
I think even people with the last name Canada are like, I get it.
Even Canada wants nothing to do with Matt Canada. Passport denied.
That would actually be really funny. They're just like, so we just don't let you in. You brought great shame to the last name and to the name in general.
We care not what you have to declare. You are not allowed it. But yeah, I just...
And then Dylan's got the height issue, and then Shedeur becomes I don't know that he's an island of misfit toys, but he becomes someone that because of the fifth round and the everything around him, maybe he fits into that bucket. I don't know.
I include him in that because they had no intention of drafting this kid. It was a what? Why not? Like that's what that move was. It was a... Yeah, he's there. Okay, let's call Philadelphia. We really got out of this draft what we needed to. Let's just go get the kid and see what happens.
I just keep going back to the idea that if Saturday is an audition for him to be traded, then if it's a true audition, I think he's going to look great on Saturday. Why wouldn't I think that? He looked great in the first preseason game. He'll probably look great in this one. Only thing that goes against him is he's not going to have as many drives to make it look awesome. So if he has a rough start out of the gate, that'll be tough to climb out of.
Let's just put it this way. When I've watched practice during training camp, only 2 quarterbacks have thrown a football where I was like, oh, that was really nice. Mm-hmm. Wasn't Kenny Pickett, wasn't Dylan Gabriel.
I mean,
it was Joe Flacco and Shedeur Sanders.
Wouldn't have taken me many guesses to get to the 2 quarterbacks that you were talking about.
But my depth chart...
I just think this just kills the fan base if they trade him. Like in many ways, it'd be the most demoralizing thing. The season it'd be shot before it even started. And I know we shouldn't just root for our own interest and our own intrigue.
Yeah, but that's part of being a fan.
It is part of being a fan, and like the entertainment side of this does matter. I'm not saying you keep Shedeur just strictly for the entertainment side of this. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying a lot of fans have invested a lot of time and a lot of energy, and we've all gone and went through all these practices and watched Shedeur be one of the best quarterbacks on that field. To have somebody that could potentially be a legitimate starting quarterback and then just swap him out for a third rounder, it just feels like a slap in the face.
You know what it is? You bought the jersey already.
I drunkenly bought a second jersey.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I drunkenly bought a second jersey.
Oh.
After the first preseason game, I got really hammered. First time I drank in 6 months because I have a child, so I don't get to drink much. We definitely went on the old DH gate. We were definitely out there purchasing. I needed a white one with the real numbers. My first jersey's got the 2 on it. It doesn't have the 12 on it.
Did you get the 1946 white jersey, or did you get the traditional normal?
No, the normal white one. Yeah.
See, you blew it.
I didn't blow anything. It was another $25. Like it's okay. One way or another, it's okay.
You got the wrong jersey is what I mean.
It was a drunk purchase. I'm more than happy with whatever shows up on my doorstep probably 4 to 6 weeks from now.
Okay.
In like a really long time.
I'm just very particular about jerseys and uniforms.
No, you can't be when you're ordering from those sites. I wanted the white one. I needed one with the real number. But I got excited. The point is I got excited over it. But it's not about my jerseys. It's not about like any part of that. It's more...
I kind of feel like a part of it is.
I want to see Shedeur play. That shouldn't be such a crime.
You want to return on your investment. You've invested a grand total of $50 in 2 brown Shedeur Sanders jerseys, and you want that $50 to pay off.
That's not really it. I can wear the jerseys regardless of if he's on the team. That's part of being a Browns fan.
Hey, if you go to any Browns game, you'll see a lot of jerseys of a lot of players who were here for a cup of coffee and aren't here anymore.
When I wear the 2 jersey, most people think it's just an old Amari Cooper jersey. They don't even think it's a Shedeur jersey. So like we're set here. But is there any chance tomorrow is just an audition for Shedeur to be traded? We do want to hear